Scotty, I want to talk to you. My friend of mine, right?
Mm.
The friend of mine has actually come to me and said to me that he would like to buy your GMT. Do you want to sell it or you don't?
Oh man, it's tough. It's tough.
Do you want to sell it or you don't want to sell it? Keeper, tell me.
Well, I love it, but
I got the deep sea back today
mm.
because tomorrow the guy's coming to pick it up.
And that's the guy who's
That's the guy from Melbourne.
Potentially
he's flying up.
Interested in the GMT. So.
No, that's another guy.
Oh, okay,
it's another guy. But so this is.
I'd have to consider, I guess, because if I sold the GMT, that would then allow me to.
Would you do it or not? Because he's keen to buy. I mean, he probably doesn't want to buy it just at the moment, but he's 100% shooter.
Yes.
If you were interested in selling it.
Yes. Well, I could then buy two mid-range pieces. Say Breguet Type 20 and Panerai, or I could get a maybe an Explorer 2.
Wouldn't you get another IWC? Wouldn't you get an IWC? I love this IWC. I got to tell you something, Scotty.
I'll get a big pilot with that money.
You know what? I got to tell you the truth. Yeah. I really thought to myself, what would I prefer? Just hypothetically, my IWC or Breguet Type 20, right? And I got to be honest with you. Now, this is no bullshit.
Yes.
I'm telling you the honest truth.
Yes.
I really think the IWC, okay, my Ingenieur, right? I really do honestly believe, this is no bullshit. I'm not telling a porky pie. This is the truth. This was made to be above Rolex, aiming at AP quality at a Rolex price. Okay? So it's really understated, undervalued. The Breguet is a little bit of a pretend. I don't want to say anything against the Breguet, but let's be honest there. Let's talk properly. It's like a cheap Mercedes. You know what I mean? It's not like a true luxury Mercedes. Like it's kind of a compromise because it's not a column wheel chronograph, right? It is a Breguet.
It's not in-house.
Well, no, it's considered in-house because Lemani is owned by Swatch. And but Lemani is a good movement. Patek's used Lemani, nothing wrong with the Lemani.
Okay.
But it is a little bit cheaper than like when you say Breguet, it's like saying Rolls Royce. You think, well, $1 million car, but it's kind of a entry level type of Breguet.
It's the cheapest Breguet.
Yeah. Whereas this IWC was no compromise when they built it.
No, that's one of the premium.
You know what I mean? Like it was in house, no compromise, and I got to tell you, I sort of thought about it and said, well, what would I like? Okay, the Breguet appeals to me because the Breguet is shooting way above its weight. But
you've had a few Breguets.
I've had 2 Breguets, but
I've never had an IWC.
Never had an IWC. I had an Ingenieur I wore a 1970s one for a little bit of time. That was the golf club.
Okay.
And I loved it. That's why I've always loved the Ingenieur.
Okay. Right?
But I got to be honest with you. The Breguet itself, I don't want to say this nasty, but it's not really a true Breguet. Like it's not precious. Breguet is famous for tourbillons, precious metal, very expensive, like up there with Patek. This is way, 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 way down the tree. It's sort of Rolex level, isn't it? It's shooting at, I got to be honest with you, the Breguet is shooting at the IWC big pilot. That's, the IWC chronograph. Portuguese type of chronograph.
I was just about to ask you, what if I was to offer you a Breguet Type 20 or Portuguese? What would you take?
Look, I would have to say, I think they're both a little bit flawed.
Does Portuguese have an in-house?
Some do, I think. Some do, some don't. They have different price levels there. But
with the twin dials, 2 dials, one above the other, one at the 12 o'clock, one at the 6 o'clock.
I'm not 100%. Look, I'm not an expert in the Portuguese, but I got to tell you honestly, I think it's a bit of a compromise. So the Breguet is a compromise, whereas something like the IWC, that is just This is a true connoisseur's watch, because you need to know your IWCs, you need to know the history of the Ingenieur, you need to know the Gerald Genta design
in order to appreciate it.
Understand what the hell it is. This is a you know what they call it, cognisti, you know, what is that word? You know, that word for fans, crazy fans who are you know, you've got to be in a circle, in a club. This is a watch, whereas the Breguet is kind of just a cop out. They've put Breguet on a cheap. It's like when Mercedes started having the 190 Mercedes. The Mercedes was always a big luxury limousine. Then they had the E-Class. Then they went for a cheap. You think, oh, what the hell's Mercedes? They're cheapening. They're selling on their brand name, Breguet. You know, it's not precious metal. It's not obscenely priced. I mean, it's still expensive, but it's not obscenely priced. And I think that's why.
Not on the pre-owned market anyway.
No, pretty good bargain on the pre. I honestly think if I had the two watches here, yes, I'd possibly be enthralled by the Breguet because it is new and it's something, you know, new shiny toys in the studio. But at the end of the day, you got to look at this watch here, the dial, how the dial's done. I love the blocky hands, the 70s, and you got to remember this is built by Germans. They're Swiss Germans. They speak German. These are very, very finicky, very, very picky. You know, I love IWC Schaffenhausen on the dial there. It just...
Schaffhausen, yeah.
It rocks. What do you think? Does it...
Yes.
I mean, what do you... Do you see what I'm saying?
I like it.
What is a better watch? Do you think the Breguet is better than the IWC? You can be honest, just be honest.
Can we compare it maybe to some other chronographs? Let's throw in a Navitimer.
A Navitimer, yes.
If I offered you a brand new Breguet or Navitimer.
Well, let's say second
hand.
Pre-owned.
Because they're probably around equal money.
Yeah, I'd definitely go Breguet because I'm a brand snob.
Okay.
Brand snob.
Transocean chronograph.
I love the Transocean.
Yes.
Transocean, transatlantic. Sorry, Transocean.
Is it what's
the
called
Breguet?
Transocean?
Which one?
No, Breitling.
The Breitling.
Breitling Transocean chronograph.
Okay. I like the. I got to be honest with you, the Breguet.
The humble billionaire in Indonesia, he had one.
Okay.
You reviewed it.
Yes.
All black dial.
That was
with the old
vintage,
wasn't
it?
Looking, clear case back, 43 mil.
Look, I got to be completely honest with you, Scotty.
Yeah.
I really do think, Breitling's not a bad brand. Right? I don't hate Breitling. I remember I had a Breitling Navitimer years ago, and I loved the damn thing. I really loved it. I thought it was really special.
Is it a brand in trouble at the moment, or?
I think everyone's in trouble in the watch industry at the moment.
Yes.
Who isn't in trouble? I got to tell you this. You know, I actually had to think about this. You know that I had that dilemma with that Breguet deal. I thought, right, what would I want? If I'm going to buy the Breguet, I need to sell. Look, I'm.
Oh, you were close to buying the Breguet the other day. Yes.
Would I prefer my Speedmaster Man on the Moon or the Breguet? What would you prefer? And I had a long think about that, and I said to myself, my Speedy is box papers.
Yes.
Really nice minty example. Very hard to find that. It was hard to find.
Yes.
Do I want to forsake that for the sake of having a Breguet? And
do Speedies have a Lamania movement in them at all? I'm not sure.
But got to be honest with you, the movement in the Speedmaster is legendary. You know, the 861 and the 321 is the greatest movement.
Yes.
And the 861 is pretty damn good as well. The movement, out of the two movements, the Breguet, this is a manual wind movement. And I love a manual wind chronograph. I just think a manual wind chronograph is so cool. That's what annoyed me about the Breguet. It's automatic. I prefer a manual wind in my chronographs.
If the Breguet had a column wheel plus the vertical.
Well, it wouldn't be that price then, would it?
No.
It would be a lot more interesting. You know who's got a really cheap column wheel?
Who?
Tudor. Tudor's got.
But they did a deal. They're buying the movements from Breitling now, I think.
Yeah,
they supplying Tudor with their movements.
And I got to be completely honest with you, Scotty. I think sometimes in life, You can't have everything.
Mm.
So I've actually said no. I've said no. I said no. I said no.
Okay.
I said no.
Yes.
So that's the dilemmas we've got.
Going back to the 3-2-1. I don't know if we leave it for another bit or not, but I was going to get you to be touched on it last time. We were talking about the Paul Newman Daytona.
Yes, so cool.
Versus the 3-2-1 Speedy.
Let's whack that in another vid, Scott.
Okay.